Good morning. It's Tuesday, and I'm your hostess with the hottest coffee around, Laurie Calcaterra, writer creator of Path of the Pale Rider, your favoriteest Western apocalypse series with undead bears and deep thoughts by Dwayne Fink. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm in my new office. In fact, if you watch me move around, you'll see some of the things in the background kind of glitch through. Hey, Lou, good morning. I am taking a trip to Michigan. We leave tomorrow. It's a short trip, and then we'll be back on Monday. So I will be here next week, just like we are always scheduled. Look, you can see the luggage. But that's what's in the background as I've been packing up the girls and packing up myself so that way we can fly out to Michigan and spend time with the fam for a little bit over the summer because I don't go to Michigan in the wintertime. No, y'all heard black snow, dirty snow, sleet, ice. I mean, if you have 16 names for snow, I ain't going. I'm just not. It's cold too much. Anyway, we are about 30 days out from the launch of issue number 7, Path of the Pale Rider. I want to show you, in case you are not signed up, which where have you been if you haven't been signed up for pre-launch? Because it's here. We got the pre-launch ready to go, and I'm going to remind you guys that I have super exclusive stuff that goes fast. It goes like 15 minutes and it's all gone. So you gotta be set up for notification for pre-launch. Because if you want to get your hands on some of the cool stuff, it'll be gone. It'll be gone. So let me drop the link real quick. Helps if I actually push the right button. So here is the link. I'm putting it in the wrong chat. This chat over here, guys. Wow, need more coffee. This one, you guys. So you can go to Kickstarter. If you type in Path of the Pale Rider, all of my stuff will show up anyway, but hit that pre-launch link for issue number 7. You don't want to miss out. In fact, I have 2 of the super exclusives here to show you guys. And just in case you don't recall, hi Pops. We're going to have 4 of the tiny little sad pancakes that are made by Zombie 13 from It Frickin' Figures on this network. So he's going to make 5. One is already claimed because the owner of the actual sad pancake would like one. So he gets one by default. So there's going to be 4 on the campaign and they're going to be in the add-ons. This one is mine. You can't have it. No, it's mine. And the other thing is the mugs that I make. Hi, good morning, Chris. Since I left England, I decided the snow is most inconvenient. I agree, Lou. I hate the snow since I left Michigan, and I don't plan on going back when it's cold ever. Sorry, Pops, I'm not doing it. Hey, yo. And then Chris, good morning. So if you haven't seen these, this one is mine, the green one that I really like, and people were trying to steal it from my house, so I decided that maybe I could make some more. So this I'm going to go through a bunch of different colors. Last campaign, I did a blue one. What's really cool about this ceramics place is that they change up their style of mugs all the time. So they're all going to be different. And I'm only going to do one color combination. They're unique. So this is the yellow. It's 2 different colors of yellow. And this one has no handle. I was surprised when I found it. So it's really different. Got my initials on the bottom, but it has like our good Scully on it. And there's going to be one of these. And of course, it will be in the add-ons. There will be a rebound book as well. I'm going to be doing The Bad Place by Dean Koontz. I thought it was fitting for issue 7. You'll just have to wait and find out. But we did not have 6 in one time all year. None of it stayed on the ground. It snowed and even inconvenience. Yeah. It will be again. Don't you lie. You're just trying to convince us to come to Michigan. I ain't doing it. I've seen those Pure Michigan commercials. They look great until you show up and then you're stuck on an icy hill because you can't get your car up the hill. Anyway, so I'm super excited. Oh, what's this? Brandon? Whatever. I did want to share one more thing. An exclusive. Again, I showed this cover on NEMS show recently, his first show, Nem in the AM, as an exclusive, but I'm going to show it here as well. Here is one of the upcoming covers for issue 7. Of course, we got to do a Lola and Sad Pancake combo cover. This was a Les Gardner cover. Yeah, you know what? You don't come to my show and make threats, Brandon. Where's my knife? Where's my knife, Brandon? Move my stuff around. I'm going to find my knife for you, just for you. So this is one of them that's coming. I'm going to start releasing them starting tomorrow. Just so we can, build some buzz on our way to launch. You will see all of them. The crown will not change hands. You guys, stop it. Stop it. Brandon, get out of here. Yeah, I know you like this cover. But I got more covers. I got a Terry Parr cover. I got a William Russell cover. I have Wade Coldling. I have this beautiful cover by an artist I found at a Comic-Con who's into Westerns. Her name is Catherine Burkhart. And of course, Gilbert's cover will knock your socks off. So we got lots coming. Make sure you stay tuned. We will show off more as we go. You know what? It's back there where it belongs, on my shelf. You keep your hands off my crown. Get out of my chat. Hi, Michael, by the way. Hi, Michael Gardner. Anyway, enough about me. Enough, and definitely enough about Brandon Starachi. Let me bring in my guest today. I think this is his first time on the show. Braxton Cosby. Remind me, I don't think you've been on the show before. Has it been a while since you've been on?
I've never been on before. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. Welcome to the show. Everybody give Braxton a warm welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I love fresh meat. Just kidding. But it's always great to hear from new creators, new to me, not new to the business. But I just want to ask you all the questions because that's part of the fun part of being in indie comics is meeting new people and, reading their work and finding out what inspires them and all of that. So Braxton, where are you at in the country?
Atlanta, Georgia.
You're in Georgia. That's cool. So you're hot too. I'm in Texas.
Yes. Oh, what part of Texas?
I'm like north of Dallas, about 40 minutes.
Okay. My wife is from Houston, so.
Yeah, we're a little bit farther than that. Houston's about to get rocked by a incoming hurricane. Well, who knows? They always say that, and then you never know if it's going to hit.
It's insane. It's insane. Now, I'm from Florida originally, and I left Florida because of the hurricanes back in 2004. And like the year I was leaving, there were 5 hurricanes in the Atlantic coming out. I was like, yep, leaving just in time. And then it's been insane with the hurricanes all of a sudden, man. Like this, like it hits places like North Carolina. Like hurricanes never did
weird.
that.
That was so odd where it was like, I think it was just the sheer amount of water that wrecked them. You know what I mean? Because wasn't there a dam that broke?
Yeah.
And then that was it. That was it for them. And it's like, how do you plan for that? You can't.
And that's the problem, right? Because like we were in Florida, people say, oh, well, hurricanes are better than tornadoes. But it's like, yeah. But when you got like 5 coming in a row, it's like, you can move, come back. We can just keep coming back when like in between the hurricanes, So
yeah, it just sounds like a pain in the butt too, because it's like evacuate.
Yep.
You got to pack all your stuff, and it's like everybody's on the road, so you're sitting in traffic. There's no gas. Everybody's sold out of gas, and it's just, it's so you kind of have an experience with the apocalypse, right? Because it's like that to me is what the apocalypse would be like.
Absolutely.
Everybody looking for the same resources and stuck in traffic.
Right. Yeah. My hero story is like, you escape in the beginning, then you got to somehow figure out all the things you need to do to beat the antagonist. But I can't beat a hurricane, so I'm not going back. It just kind of ended with me leaving.
Can we nuke a hurricane? I don't think so.
I don't know if I've seen a movie like that when they tried to.
Is that like we should totally make like a Sharknado movie where we nuke a hurricane and then like all the things are like irradiated and grow into giant kaiju and hit Florida? No, and then Florida Man could battle them. Here we go. That's our new story.
We're sticking to it.
Put your glasses on. All right, so Braxton, in the beginning of the show, I love to hear origin stories from people that have been on the show, for their first time. So what were you doing when you were a kid, or how did you get started into comics? What were you reading as influence? And then ultimately, what was it that made you decide to just I'm gonna do it myself? I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it.
I grew up in the age where comics were starting to kind of get moving, being very popular, but um, they started making a transition to TV. And so we got like cartoons. And there was a thing called the Sunday Funnies back in the day that used to
Mhm.
show like still images of the comics as they read the comics. And then eventually, what was it? The Electric Company had like the Spider-Man, the live Spider-Man on there. That happened for a little bit. So all those things just
Did
started
it?
intriguing me.
I
Yeah.
used to watch the Electric Company. I don't remember Spider-Man being on it.
Oh, so you missed the good ones, man. That
I'm
was
probably a
like,
little. I think I'm a little bit older than you. I don't know.
I
I
don't
could be wrong.
know. I think you might be a little bit younger than me.
Oh, I like you even more now. See, a lot of
Yeah.
people think I'm younger than I am, so
Yeah, me too. So
we're
that's the
friends
same
now.
thing. And so he would like come on and do these little, it was like maybe like a 5 minute segment. And so it was like real cheesy with the web
Morgan
effects and
Freeman.
everything. Really, really
Morgan
cool.
Freeman.
Yep. And
I missed
so
that too.
yeah, so it was really cool. And then they started doing the it was called Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And then you got
Yeah.
the other shows with DC, which was the Justice. Was it, they call it Justice League back then? I think they called it something else. It was like Superman and Batman
Superman and
and Wonder
Friends.
Woman. And so it was just crazy. So all those things were on TV when I was growing up, and I started picking up comics and reading them. And then my favorite became Batman, and
Hey,
I was a
we were-
DC head. And then
Yeah.
after that, I got into X-Men. If I did Marvel, I did X-Men.
Yes.
That was my jam.
Yes. I was gonna say, like, for me, when I was reading, it was mostly just Batman. It was DC Comics and Marvel shows, like TV shows and
Hmm.
cartoons, like X-Men. I grew up watching X-Men on
Yeah,
Saturday
absolutely.
mornings. Absolutely. So cool. I was gonna because again, I think that you and I have similar influence
Yes,
based off of your work, only
absolutely.
because I see a lot of what I think in your work too. So continue. All right.
Very
So you're
cool.
watching Saturday morning cartoons,
Yeah, so
X-Men. Mhm.
watching all that stuff, and then I started getting to it. And then a friend of mine, I remember in the fifth grade, he was a really good artist, and he started getting writing his own comic. I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. I should do mine. So I remember I did like a little
Yeah.
5 page thing, and I'm sure it was just crazy, penciled the whole 9 yards, and
Yes.
it was just mine. I like kind of sketched some images from like X-Men comics to try to make mine look like that kind of a thing. So that was like my first. Hey, how you doing? That was like my first jump into it, And then so I
Yeah.
left it alone. Went through school, high school, college, and I never got back into writing again, but I couldn't stand like multiple choice tests. I've always would
Ooh.
confuse me. I would be in between two choices, and I would mess up. But anything that was essay based, I would get A's in. I'm talking about like history, anatomy, anything like that. That had if I could explain it, I could get an A in it. So I felt really confident with that.
Interesting.
Creative writing, the whole 9 yards. So it kind of became a thing as I got older in life, where I started kind of getting interested into writing, but I didn't do anything with it. And I remember I was at church one day, odd enough, and the pastor was like preaching, and he was like, I feel like there's some people out there that God wants to talk to, wants to use to do something they've never done before, but like nobody's asking. So I was like, well, okay. I started praying. I was like, okay, well, God, what would you want me to do?
Yeah.
And right then I heard a voice say, write a book. And I'm like, what? You know,
Sometimes he speaks directly, and that
I'm
scares the
telling
crap
you.
out of
And it was a
us.
book, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like, again, I wasn't into reading anymore because I had moved away with all this work I did with my master's and my doctorate in physical therapy. I was done. You don't have enough time to casually read. So I was
Right.
like, how would I write? And I'm not even reading. you know. And I was like, well, what would I write about? And then I tell you, what happened was that I don't know about you, but I was a big movie buff back in the day.
Yeah,
Um,
I love movies.
yeah, I
I'm
love
one of
them.
those too where it's like I watch the first 5 minutes, I'm like, "He did it, and this is why," and I get
Right,
up
right.
and walk out of my husband's like, "Why? Why would you do that?"
I mean, and I'm more of a critic of them now, so I'm very, very
Yes,
picky off of what I look at.
yes.
But back then, I don't know, I would look at movies and I would be like, man, that was really cool, but I wish they had kind of done this with it. You see trailers and previews and you start assuming what's going to happen in the movie. And then when they don't do it, you go like, man, that would have been cool if they had gone this way with it, And
Yeah.
so I was having this conversation with God. It was like, well, all those cool things that you liked, put them in your own story. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's cool. So I started honestly sketching out this storyline. And right then it was back in the day when Twilight was coming out and
Oh God.
Divergent. So all these young adult kind of stories were coming around. And I was really fascinated with those stories. They were great. And so I started basically sketching out this storyline of this science fiction romance story. And that's how kind of Protostar started for me,
Oh my gosh.
And that was my first novel.
I have to know. Did you read Twilight?
I didn't read them. I looked at them.
You watched the movies?
Yeah, I watched the movies.
I'm so sorry.
I heard the books were amazing.
The books are pretty good, but I still like if there's one main character that I love to hate, it is Bella Swan. I just hate her.
I was into the movie. It was just so new, and I liked the take on the vampires. So I was really more intrigued with that than the actual story. The acting was cheesy. All those guys were brand new to it. I think
we went to the theater and saw the first one, and then one of my friends dragged me to see the second one, and I was like, "You cannot pay me to see the next one, please. I just don't want to do it. Like, you can't make me."
So that was it. So I kind of framed my stories off of the young adult, kind of take a spin on it. And Protostar was born. I wrote it, got it out to a publisher in Atlanta. She picked it up. We published it a year later, and then she went under, and then she kind of gave me the rights back. So I shopped it to another publisher. I had a literary agent at the time. That got picked up, but then when I was writing the sequel, they were kind of we were going in different directions on our ideas on where the book should go, and I basically got asked for the rights back to it and kind of did it myself, and then launched Cosby Media Productions back in 2011. And that was, we're a small press company. We published over 30 authors with 60 titles in ebooks, audiobooks, and paperbacks. So we've got a whole gamut of stories that we tell through our authors, and we've been very, very happy with the books and the stories that we've put out.
And see, I think that first of all, that's awesome. That's awesome. And 2011 is nothing to sneeze at. You know what I mean? That's 14 years that you've been doing this. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And that early on to realize that grass isn't greener with a giant publisher. Sometimes it's better just to do it your dang self, because being your own boss, I think, is so important for your own mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never I worked for some companies, and even on the hardest day now with what I running my business, I still, it's to me more fulfilling and more rewarding than working for someone else any day. So even on the hardest day, but what's the chat?
Especially when you realize that they don't really do anything. I mean, they put your book out, they have the relationships, they'll get the numbers, like the pre-orders in the books, in the stores and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not a real marketing campaign. There's not a lot that goes on, and you still have to do all the footwork yourself. And then you get a cover that you don't like, and you're like, man, this isn't even my story, Yeah. I had a woman who's very, very famous, very popular, who I ended up befriending, and she was just talking about the publishing deal. And we met one day for lunch, and we kind of exchanged books. And I was like, oh, this one's good. I said, oh, you got a zombie on the cover. She's like, there's no zombies in the book.
Oh my gosh.
And you see that helicopter in the sky, there's no helicopter either. Like, they just do things to make you pick the book up. And this is a well-known author that had no say-so. And she's like, I like your covers. At least, this is, I said, you designed this yourself? I'm like, yep, I work with the artist closely. We kind of put everything into it that we feel the story embodies. And I said, I'll just take the freedom of it and just do it myself,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, I think, is key, to have a say in what your story looks like on the cover is like huge. And it's nice that you're able to offer that to other people as well, where it's like, I'm assuming that you would be like, hey, let me speak from experience. I work with ASAP Imagination, who's my publisher in the UK. And so when people choose to like have them involved in covers, they would introduce you to different artists and be like, this is their portfolios, take a look through, see if
Nice.
any of these speak to
Mhm.
you, right? And then you communicate with that artist, right? And then so the cover ends up being what the artist is intending instead of
Absolutely.
it's a zombie helicopter book when it's really a cookbook. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Right. And that's what we do. Like I basically have a form that I have the authors fill out saying, hey, give me all the main key elements of the story, location,
Yeah.
all those things, all the big beats of the story. And then, especially when it comes down to the comics, I'll get into that in a second. We basically have them say, hey, listen, here's the portfolio of the different art teams that we work with. What style do you think fits the story you want to tell? And then they tell us, and then
Right.
we kind of work it from there. But when it comes down to the covers, it's blow for blow. They give me information. I get ideas. I kind of give them an idea of where I think it should go. And then they go, yeah. And then we put it together. And I've had like nobody, and I mean nobody yet say, oh, I don't like the cover,
That's awesome. And I think, Braxton, this is our next project. Zombie
The zombie
helicopter
helicopter cookbook.
We're
I'm with it.
already, Chris, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but we're already going to be writing a nuked hurricane that spits out
Yes.
kaiju versus Florida Man.
Yeah.
That's coming.
And I think that the helicopter works well. We have like a
Ooh.
zombie helicopter who drops the nuke into the hurricane.
See, we could tie it all together. I like you, Braxton. You just watch. Someone's going to do it now.
Cross-pollination is everything, man.
All right. So I would love to. Here, let me bring this up. You sent me some PDFs to read, which I love. I love when creators send me their work so I can kind of sample. Because again, I'm always looking for like what influences you.
Mhm.
If I can pick and from the ether what influences you, I can tell. We're getting to that right now. Hang tight. He's got a lot of books, but I want to talk about Broken. So this one, let me put it up on the screen, would actually help. Hello. Share screen, window. I want this one. Boo-doo-doo. So, and then I click on it and make it worse. Come on, you. So Broken. Now, the ones that you sent me were started in the middle. So I didn't get the beginning.
Mhm,
I was like,
mhm.
torture. Why did you do? And I know you did that for a reason.
You know
But
it.
I was like, man, I wish I could see how it all went down.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And so I'm sure this book is available on your website. I might just have to
Absolutely.
let my fingers do some talking. But this is how we start this book, friends, with this. Speaking of nuking hurricanes, looks like this whole world got nuked. So let's talk about Broken. Give us the pitch. I'm not going to scroll too far because I don't want to give away
Absolutely.
any spoilers, but I
Right.
wanted people to see like the interiors. I want to talk about the characters, and this seems to be zombie adjacent. So high
Yes,
five.
it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
All right. I'm
yeah.
gonna shut up now.
So the story of Broken, just to go back a little bit more, like I said, we published all those novels. We were going through it, and I've written 20 novels myself. I'm working on my next one now, which I'm totally in love with. And my goal with every story that I write is to write my next favorite book. I tell authors that all the time. I do panel discussions at conventions. And they're like, where do I start? What do I do? I said, make sure you fall in love with the story first.
Yes.
So that when you go out, you can talk to people about it, you can share about it, and they can see your enthusiasm, and then they can actually come alongside it and be a part of the world that you're creating. So that's what we do. So in 2021, we had created our own soup. Well, by the time we'd gotten published with quite a few novels, me and 4 other authors had our own superhero universe that we had created called the Cosby Media Productions dedicated superhero universe, kind of like the DCU, kind of like the MCU, but this was the CMP DSU, right?
Yeah.
So we had, at the time, it was 16 novels between all of our books. We had Daniel Payton's Bark series, Coyote Champions, Majesties of Canaan. We had Lawrence St. John, Metatron, and we had Keyshawn Dodd's Menzuo. And we were kind of referencing each other's stories in our books to kind of connect the world. But as I was going to conventions, I was like, man, it would be really cool if we had a comic book, that kind of helped tie this stuff together. So we launched the Kickstarter, and we got first issues funded, and we connected with a couple of teams. Shout out to Tyler, the animator, for some references of some artists that we worked with to get things going. And they just did a fabulous job at kind of bringing those stories to life. And the authors asked me, say, "Hey, are we going to read? Which story am I going to redo?" I said, "No, we're not doing a redo. We're pushing forward. The novel is maybe the origin story, but now we got comics that actually expand the story. So if you have three novels in a series, the comic is book 4. Imagine that, you know?"
Yeah.
So we keep pushing. So what we become now is this hybrid publisher. Star Child Comics is our comic imprint of Cosby Media Productions. We're a hybrid publisher. We tell our stories in both novels and comics. So it may start off in a comic, go to a novel, come back again, and that kind of thing. So we offer readers a nice options as far as how they like their stories being told to them. And so, like with your question, you asked about Broken, where we see right here, even though it's issue 1 of the comic, it's book 2 in the series. As you can see at the bottom there, book 2, the Young Hellion series. So book 1 is the novel. I actually have a copy of that right here so people can see.
Please. In begin. Okay, awesome. Now it makes more sense because I was like, I was looking at that too. It says issue 1 in book 2. And the story kind of picks up in the middle of things. So I was like, there's got to be something that I need to read, you know, with the backstory of what's going on. So that makes sense. Yeah.
So it starts with the novel. Yeah, the manga influence is definitely there. The artist who does the work for me is Ram Silva, and he is fabulous. He's from Brazil. And we kind of went with that art style. You know, a lot of stuff when you're writing origin stories and novels, obviously you've got a big canvas to paint on. You can tell a story forever. You can write 100,000 words, 20,000 words, whatever you want. So Broken was that piece. It was kind of like 80,000, around 90,000 word novel. And when I got to the comic, there's rules of writing comics, you know.
Yes.
There's so many pages. There's no panels that are throwaways. You don't just decide, I want to make this panel a beautiful sky. You know, do you lose the reader? It has to have meaning, you know, much like when I write my scripts for film and television. Every scene is important. There's no throwaway scenes. There's no throwaway panels. So you got to be very, very intentional when you're writing comic scripts. So with this, I had to bring the audience in. It's a 24-page comic. So I had to kind of update them in a way with the exposition to say, if you hadn't read the novel, these are the big elements and moments in the book. So there's an initial conversation with Kieran talking with the doctor who Kisa wakes up in this new place after the things that happened in book 1. And they're having this dialogue conversation, kind of giving you a brief history on the things that have happened and transpired. And now Kisa kind of wakes up and meets them. And that's where we go with the story. So, yeah, so Ram did an amazing job. We've got Luis Caballero, who's my inker and my letterer. And I love his use of colors and lighting. So it really came together well. And I was excited, you know. Get this going.
Yeah, and I gotta say,
the zombies now, you know.
Even though I felt like I was missing kind of the origin, I still had no problem understanding the characters and what was happening and what they were, what their goals were.
Yeah,
and so it, like I said, it just kind of planted a seed. Like, where's I want to see the fall. I want to see what it was like before we got here. But but tell people, what are these? These are.
So these are ashers. So basically, year 2035, all-out nuclear war. 70% of the population of the planet is decimated by nuclear fallout, and people now move towards the coastlines for fresh water to try to survive. Money no longer has any value because the economy has crashed, and people are just trying to live. What they're doing now is that there's one military conglomerate called the Establishment actually is created. And now, since money has no value, they actually bring back slavery. And it's not ethnicity based or anything like that. It's basically a class system. If you don't have resources, you will be enslaved. You will work and you will be traded for resources. And so Kisa, 16 years old, has been separated from her mom and dad in Savannah, Georgia. And now she finds herself living her life in a slave pod. And she's now the surrogate parent to her younger brother, Kieran, who's 11. And so they're trying to survive. Kisa's almost at her wit's end. When you pick up the book, she's kind of ready to almost commit suicide, but she doesn't want to leave her brother behind.
Yeah. That was one of
So
my
that's where it
questions
goes.
about her character. I was like, she doesn't seem like she has it all together.
Hmm.
And to the point where it's like, is she even processing what is reality?
Right. Good point. I'm picking that up. Yeah. So definitely that's what happens. And so we tackle mental health in this book. I thought it was
Yeah.
important to do that. I have three daughters, and
Yeah.
the book was a thank you. The book was a dedication to them, trying to piece together their personalities, because there's about a 10-year difference between the oldest and youngest, and the other one's right in the middle. So I took
Yeah.
components of their personalities and the things that I've gone through with fatherhood and raising them, and I wanted to kind of put that into Kisa, but I also wanted to be very sensitive to the fact that what would happen if this was our situation and
Yes.
you're a teenage girl and your world is turned upside down. There's no prom. We kind of went through that a little bit with COVID with one of ours. So I put that
Yeah.
in here. And you can imagine that your mental health is very at risk of being compromised. So I put that in here. And so we tackle that big in the third book, which is the second issue comic, and it's a graphic novel. So we really get a chance to kind of peel that back a little bit and talk about Kisa from that vein.
And now her family is such a big, part of this
Hmm.
story.
Yeah.
So her parents, her brother, and even just the team that she works with, I think, are so important. And it's like I felt like the relationships were legit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like
Hmm.
a lot of times when you're reading um comics, it's like you don't have a lot of time to convey
Right.
information and
Right.
emotion, and that emotion is definitely here. So this relationship between these two, I think, is super important to this story and definitely drives the action about
Hmm.
what's going to happen. So kudos
Yeah.
to you for that.
It was important to me because I feel like Broken is a very important emotional story. And it was something that I wanted to show. Like, I definitely got it across in the novel, but when we came to comics, I'm like, okay, now we're visual. I told Ram, I said, we're gonna have a lot of close-up shots. We're gonna have a lot of emotion in the faces of the characters. We got to make sure we bring that across so that we keep grounded in the idea of these characters going through so much emotionally. And then
Mhm.
we'll have our moments where we have these big action sequences, which would be really cool. But this is an emotional story. And I didn't want to lose it just because it's a comic. I want people to really take it seriously as they progress through the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it was funny because, like I said, as I was reading it, I could see X-Men connections with some of the
Hmm.
mutations, and even like your scientist guy is in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Professor X.
absolutely. Yeah, 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 yeah.
But also with the way that your zombies work, I was thinking Fallout.
Right.
Are you a fan of
Oh,
Fallout?
I'm a huge
Are
fan of
you?
Fallout. Yeah,
Okay,
and
all
we
right.
have, and even though the establishment is the big military conglomerate, there's really three factions at play here trying to take over the world. There's the
Mhm.
establishment, which is the military conglomerate. There is the hoarders,
The
who, if you
Raiders, yeah.
imagine, yeah, those are your borderland characters. Kind of
Mhm.
they just ravage the land, pillage, kill people on sight, kind of a thing. And then you also have the ashers, which are the zombies. And so
Right.
anybody who, things happen if you ingest the nuclear fallout for long enough. Three things will happen to you. One, you either become an asher, maybe you just become this zombie hive mind of undead that are just kind of taking over the world, just destroying everything in sight. They're very fast and they are coordinated in their attacks, which we realize later on in the
Mhm.
story, that separate them from kind of like a walking dead. But you also can just go mad and become part of the hoarders. And even though the hoarders are crazy on the surface, book one really dives into their network of how they live and their communities and things like that. And you start to go like, man, they're actually still human beings. They're just doing a whole lot of crazy stuff, to
Yeah.
survive. And then
Yeah.
1% of the population actually has, like I say, traits unlocked, almost like a video game,
Mhm.
where you start to get ESP, and you can see visions of the future, past, and present all in one. Those are called alphas. And as we move through the story, we start to get a sense that maybe Kisa is one of these alphas.
Yeah. I for sure, I think she is. Hey, here's another one, Fish Lee, who
Thank
loves
you.
mutants. His whole book is about mutants as well. So,
Hmm.
Hi, Grant. How are you, sir? Nice to see you. Good morning. Grant's currently live on Kickstarter with his cryptid story. So go check that out, please. He was on the show last week showing that off. So go check that out. We'll have to go check out and see how it's going. Fast Zombies Stopped. We can talk about that. Hey, it's Glenn. Glenn showed up. Glenn, nice to see you. Are you also a zombie fan, Braxton?
I am. And so that's why I really wanted to make sure I did something different.
Yeah.
I was fascinated. I'm from the day with Dawn of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm showing my age a little bit. So
I'm with you. We
I
might be
put
the
it
same
way
age.
back then.
Yeah.
And so when Walking Dead came out, again, you're just taking another story and you're putting a new spin on it. So I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, and Hollywood is that at this point in time. It's I remember I took a couple of writing intensives and they would just say, hey, give me the same but different. That's all pretty much storytelling has become now. And
Yeah.
so my thing was, okay, I got zombies, but I also have this, I also have that, and I'm gonna make these zombies a little bit different. And so
Well, and the one thing I really liked about your zombies is there was more than one kind.
right,
And I'm not going to spoil it
right,
for you guys. You
yeah,
have to read
yeah,
it.
that's
But
right.
there's more than one kind. And so when he starts getting into that, then you start questioning everything.
That's right. That's right.
There was two more that I saw, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh
Mm-hmm.
no. Oh my God. It's like that can't be good. So you'll have to wait and see what this story
Yeah,
does with these
yeah.
zombies. But I feel you, like I'm, watched Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, who was here earlier, talking smack, this guy. Where's my gun, by the way? Him and a bunch of my zombesties were at was it Zombie Weekend? I forget what it's called, but it was a Comic-Con at the Monroe Mall that they filmed Day of the Dead in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so they had a con there, zombie based. But I heard that they're knocking that place down, so I'm going to be upset if they knock down the mall from the zombie movies. But it's like, yeah, and it's like you follow. I'm going to segue here for a second. Let's talk about vampires. Let's talk about how vampires go from campy to scary,
Right.
right? And then as an infection, like, so it changes the type. So we went from supernatural to more science based.
Like mutated, yeah.
Right. And then we have at the end of I feel like when we get to the end of the genre loop, you get romantic zombies,
Right,
romantic vampires. We had Twilight, right?
right, right.
And I think at that point, there's nowhere else to go and you have to reboot and do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where we are with zombies. Zombies had Warm Bodies. I hate that movie. Right? And so it's like we need that new thing. Walking Dead kind of brought it back for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still like an infection based. Like we need something new.
Right, right.
So it's always great to see, a new type of zombie, a new spin on zombie, a whole new world, based off of that. So I really enjoy that.
Thank you. It was crazy because when we started with Star Child Comics, we had our first 4 issues superhero. I'm like, oh man, now we got to get some other stories, And so people were hitting us up on Instagram. Hey, I got this story, So this one guy hit me up with this one. He's like, I got a zombie story. I'm like, oh my God, zombies, great. This is fantastic. Went through everything with him, talked about the contract. He was like, yeah, I'm just going to sell you the story. It's yours. And he was from another country. So some of the English wasn't really that great. So I was like, hey, it's okay. I got a letter. We'll go ahead. We'll change the story a little bit once we buy the rights from you. It's not a big deal. And so I was excited. And then I sent him the contract, and then he got quiet for like a week. I didn't hear from him. I'm like, what's going on? He's just deciding to send it back. We already talked about the terms. Man, he came back with some stuff. I need $10,000 for you to buy the story. Yeah. And I need also 50% royalties for every comic you sell. I was like, we don't do that.
Wow.
And then behind the scenes, I'm like heartbroken because I was ready for this zombie, to have a nice repertoire of things to offer,
right,
with comics. And so I was like broken. And then all of a sudden I remember again, had another conversation with God. He was like, don't you have Broken? I'm like, yeah. Why don't you make your own comic I'm like,
Yep.
oh, yeah, because I was planning on writing Broken as a series of books anyway. I was like, yeah, we'll just do the same thing, you know. So that's why I'm writing the script for Broken, and I must say, it's better than what he gave me.
Touche.
Yeah, so that was a blessing, you know, in disguise. It was great, you know, something lost, something
Yeah.
gained.
And it's hard sometimes, like, when you go through those things where it's like hindsight really is 2020, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm really stuck on this idea and I want to make it happen, and then it doesn't fall through. It doesn't happen, it falls through. Sorry,
Hmm.
wrong way.
Yeah.
Strike
Yeah.
that, reverse it, one of those. But then, when you get to the other side and you look back and you're like, really, I'm better
Man.
off
Oh man.
not doing that,
Yeah. It's been
So
great. And I
sometimes.
love going in this different direction with Broken. You know, I've people have been loving it. They really enjoy the story. And it was like for me, it was like, you know, you can't ever stop a storyteller. I don't care what you do.
Right.
You can steal people's stories, you can write them, you can create them, you can break them, whatever you want to do. But writers will always continue to write, you know. So you can't
Mhm.
stop us. You can't hold us down. You can try to slow us down, but you can't hold us down. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep doing this. And again, I like the story 10 times better than one he gave me. So it was all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we need more zombie.
Absolutely.
Good. Let me rephrase that. We need more good zombie. We don't want warm
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
No more warm bodies. TV adaptations should be close, please. Not like World War Z. I hate
Right.
that movie. Because the book was so good. Did you read World War
I
Z?
didn't read it.
You
Mm-mm.
gotta read World War Z. The movie sold a lot of seats
Yeah.
from, just because Brad Pitt was in it and it was a
Hmm.
big budget zombie film, but the book is so much better. And they could have done it in a different way. And I would still like to see them tackle it maybe as like a Netflix series, as a series,
Right. Right. Right.
because the book, each chapter is Brad Pitt's character was a journalist and he would go from place to place and he would interview people about how they survived the zombie war.
Okay.
And it was from all over the world. And it kind of goes in succession. Is that the
Hmm.
right word?
Hmm.
Yeah. So it goes in order of how the zombie war happened, but it was
Okay.
really interesting
Yeah.
from all these different stories. And so I think they could have done it as like, how Interview with the Vampire starts
Yes.
with the guy sits down and he starts
Hmm.
interviewing the vampire, and then it goes back to the flashback and
Right.
it
You get the
shows it.
flashbacks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how they should do it. And every episode is a chapter where
Yeah.
it's like he sits down at the table, he lights his cigarette, and he's just like, all right, tell me what happened. And
Right.
then it starts the flashback and you get to see the action.
Yeah.
That could have been way better.
Maybe make it more
Um,
episodic. It could have even been a limited series, you know?
mhm. But it just could have been done better, in my opinion. Ideas are also a dime a dozen. It's the execution that matters.
Right.
Yes. Yes, I'm with you. And that's, everybody, we all have our NDA and we're all so close to our story, but I found out like nobody really gives crap
Right.
because they're not going to put in the time and the money to steal my story. They're
Right.
really not.
Really. Yeah. They're
So
not.
I Am Legend book is better than the movie. Of course. That's another one has that one been adapted a couple times, I think.
But they did it. They did one, and now they're working on the sequel with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan, from what I hear.
Oh. Yeah, I have heard that too. Even though I thought he died in the first. Wasn't that the
Hmm. He
theatrical?
did, but then they had an alternate ending, and I
They
think that's what they're
did.
going with.
So we're gonna uncanon the canon and do the alternate ending and then the thing?
I
That's what
guess.
we're doing?
I guess. I'll
Okay.
wait till it comes on streaming either way.
I was like, I'll probably still end up seeing it. The dog in that movie was the hardest part,
Yeah.
right? I mean, when he was holding Sam, I was like, so terrible. What is this fish? You could give all three of us the same idea and we would make yes, very different
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
So Broken, I highly recommend Broken to everybody. I had a blast reading it.
Thank
I'm
you.
not going to tell you what happens. No, don't ask me. No spoilers. But I also want to talk about this beautiful website, which
Thank you.
I hate my website only
This has been a
because
labor of love. This is 10 years,
yes,
14 years. Yes.
yes, exactly. It was like it's one of those where like I just don't want to touch it, you know.
Right.
And because I'm not spending the time there, sometimes it causes problems. Like I have something that's out of stock and someone orders it and I'm like, crap.
Right.
So, but this is a gorgeous website.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, like there's so much on here because here's Broken, but let me show you guys. We're just going to keep scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep scrolling. There's a ton of stuff. So you got novels, you got comic books. Gosh. You know
This
what?
is our storefront, you know. So these
Yeah.
are the things we actually sell, and really we just try to really sell our comics through the storefront. If people want the floppies, if they want the digital, they're on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So if people had a Nook or a Kindle, they can buy it. Like I said, this is just a piece of what we have, and this is only based on the hybrid stuff that we have. So if you wanted to pick up anything, if you like ninjas and vampires, you can get African Ninja Vampire Killer. If you like, thank you for the post there. And if you like manga, which is our latest book that we've just dropped, is a series from Chris McCauley. He's actually worked on the Babylon 5 comic book series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so he's got some great stuff too. So there's a ton of stuff to grab in here if people wanted to purchase directly from this website. We ship it out, and I'll even sign the stuff that we send to you as well.
Yeah, and this was this book 3 is not a floppy. It was what, 65 pages?
It's
more?
a graphic novel, floppy graphic novel. Yep.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
So
I love this.
Oh, let me see. Oh, I want to see it. It's so nice. Is it a glue bound? Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, that was one of my proudest moments when we got that one done.
Does it feel like it's like Christmas and birthday and all at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
And getting a chance to expand that world, like you kind of hinted at some of the stuff that Kisa was going through, the mental health stuff I was able to realize. So I really wanted to put the world of Broken on display as another character itself. So that's why they went out more into the Badlands, and then also dealing with some of the new forms of the zombies that they run into too. So just kind of give people an opportunity. You know, my thing is, if you gonna make sequels, you got to make them bigger, you got to make them better, and the story has to be very, very sound. So I think I was successful in writing that and bringing that together.
Agreed. Also, they find vaults. I was like, oh, we in Fallout. I love it. It in my brain. So what happens next with Broken? Is there going to be book 4, 5, 6?
Book 4 is I'm already working on the ideas behind it. Like I said, I'm working on my latest novel. And graphic novel at the same time. I don't recommend anybody do this. This is just for the insane. Writing a novel and a graphic novel at the same time is totally insane, and I have nothing else to do but be insane. So I am doing that. And
but are they in the same world, or are they?
Yeah, it's the same hybrid stuff. So basically, the novel.
So at least you're not completely switching gears, where it's like I'm writing this romance novel versus I'm in Broken.
Yeah, I'm crazy. So I got this one novel. It's historical fiction, and I'm loving the fiction part of it. The historical stuff I am putting in, and then it ends, and then the graphic novel picks up. So I'm writing them both at the same time. Yeah. So after I'm done with that, Broken's going to be a picture novel. Is the next iteration of it, where it's going to be each one of the chapters will have a picture, kind of a comic panel, like a splash screen, that will kind of give you hints at what happens in that chapter. You know, so I'm treating it like that.
That's cool too. See, I love experiencing a world in multiple mediums.
Absolutely.
Okay, because that's me too. Like the first time I experienced that was with The Matrix.
Yeah.
Because they had the movies, they had the games, either computer game. I played the Xbox game. They had the anime shorts. They just had all these different ways that you could experience The Matrix. And so I like that, and I do that with my own project as well. So it's great to find a like-minded creator.
Absolutely.
Braxton, I want you to do an audio version.
Oh, it's already out.
Oh, where is it? Oh my God.
The novel audiobook is already out. What are we talking about?
Look what happens. Ask and you shall receive. I was like, where's that? Where can I get that?
Go right to Amazon, and once you click on, once you find Broken, you'll be able to pick up the audiobook there.
So did you cast your own voice talent, or what was that like?
She was great.
That's cool.
Her name is Bunny, and she is fabulous. She did a great job with Kisa and brought it across. We did the book through ACX, so of course I got a bunch of auditions for it,
Yeah,
and kind of decided on Bunny, and she does a fabulous job with bringing our wonderful Kisa to life.
that's awesome. How, I mean, like that just seems like a process. So you used a company to record it? Like
It's
um,
ACX. ACX
ACX?
is the publishing. They do Audible. So it's basically just go. You get an account with them, and then whenever you put a book up for rights, people who are voiceover artists audition for it. You make a selection. You go to contract with the royalties and things are going to be. If they agree, then you start just sending them pages. They'll send you chapters as they're done. You listen to them, say, "Hey, yay or nay," keep it going. We do our own music because we have our own artist who works with us to give us um,
Wow.
our music. So we kind of have our segues of intro and outro. Shout out to Mellow Bean. He does our music for us.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, so we kind of do the whole production from the ground up and it comes out pretty sweet.
That's cool. That's one of the things that I've had on my bucket list to do with Path and just haven't either, figured it out yet or met the right connection. So cool. It's ACX.
ACX, go to acx.com, open your
Got it.
account, upload your script, and get ready because somebody's going to want to do it.
That's cool.
So our website, we try to make it as user
Yeah.
friendly as possible. If you just scroll down, you're going to see all of our genres right there. So if you click on any one of these images, it's going to take you to the type of books that you like to read. And so we kind of made it easier, user friendly to navigate and find what you
Mhm.
might be looking for. And then, obviously, if you just went up to the top and you did the tabs, and you can also look under artist name, under genre, and all that stuff. But we try to make it easy to navigate.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm always looking at people's websites because again, I hate mine. Meet the family. Now wait, your wife works on your books with you as well?
She is she is the editor in some
Gotcha.
respects as far as the comic books. Like when we do the scripts, and she'll go back through the comic to make sure everything is correct. But realistic, everything's from
I
the ground up. We have our own team of editors who actually edit our novels for us, and
gotcha.
I kind of do the heavy lifting of the cover ideas and creation and things like that with the artists that we use, and we just kind of bring it all together. She also does marketing for us as well. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's a family affair.
Yeah, absolutely. To have both of you kinda on the same path is great. Do you ever have a tiff though? Is she ever like, "You need to change this," and you're like, "No."
Yeah, yeah, and she's right. I
Oh,
haven't
I
chew on
love
it
it.
for a while. I haven't chewed on it for a while, and I gotta go back and go, yeah, here's the book. You were right.
Ah, you're smart, man.
Yeah.
I mean, editors usually they know what they're talking about, and it's just so
Hmm.
hard sometimes when they find a big loophole and you're like, "Dang it.
Man,
I
yeah,
really
it's
like
hard.
this moment." I have to go back and change it, but they're usually right.
Yeah.
Um,
She's got some great ideas, and she looks at it from a marketing perspective of
yeah.
things being consistent because that's what she does pretty much all day. Is she's always working on the company that she works for, their website, making sure everything is right, that the ads are correct, that the everything that goes out on TV, whether it's on TV or social media, she has to make sure all of it is concise. So we use her eye on our stuff too.
That makes sense. What is Star Child
Yeah,
Comics?
what is it? You get a chance to see here. We kind of introduce you to some of the characters from our superhero series. Like I said, the CMPDSU. You got Bark there. You got Paladin from my Cape series.
Mhm.
That's Menzuo there from the Menzuo saga. Metatron.
Is he okay? A
Uh,
flying wizard?
he's actually got his powers from an angel named Metatron. So he kind of
Okay.
brought that name on. He started as a young boy, and
That symbol makes more sense now.
mhm,
Yeah, it's an
his
angelic.
story is really awesome because it kind of goes from him being young and he grows, and as he gets older, he gets more powers unlocked and revealed. So it's really cool.
Cool.
Everybody loves that poster. We saw those posters at a convention,
This
and then we
one?
had Blast. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. That's why I was like, "This is a flying wizard."
I see it caught your eye, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Majesties of Canaan. That's Blessed from Kaio Champion.
He looks tough.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking bullets. That's
And then we
amazing.
just kind of introduce people to some of the other comics that we have that are outside of the CMP DSU once you go down some more. So that's Metatron there. You see his comic book, Terror at the Track.
Yeah.
And we also have Bounty Hunter, Steel Rain. We've got Kisa with Broken.
Gosh, how do you what does your calendar look like when you're releasing all of these things, promoting all of these things,
I know.
communicating with all these people? Like, I just don't. I have respect for anybody that does more than once. I have respect for everybody. Let's just put it that way. Anybody that's in the game. But for anybody that does like more work than I do, I just look at you like, do you have a clone? Do you like
I am cloned. I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
To my wife.
I'm
convinced
your wife.
I'm cloned. I don't necessarily, because I don't know if you've ever read anything that you've written, or just like the stories that you kind of just go back to, like, oh, let me just break open Broken. Oh, that's really cool. When did I do that?
Yeah.
And so I know that there's somebody else working in the background doing some of the work when I go to sleep. When I put it down, I think they kind of get in my computer and do stuff. So yeah, I'm convinced I'm cloned, and that's the only way I can actually pull half of this stuff off, to be sure.
Gosh. Because like, what can you tell me what like your week looks like? Do you touch all these people? You have to, right? You have to be in touch with all of these
Oh yeah.
people.
Oh, it's crazy. I get emails all the time. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. I got
Yeah.
these artists. I get images every day. Hey, this is the inks from page 5. What do you think? Well, can we fix this? Okay, shoot it back to them. They get the. So it's always constantly moving. And I got, Legacy of Dragonwan book 7 is coming out this month. We are so excited.
Wow.
It's the final book in the series from author Daniel Payton, and that is coming out. I think it's next weekend on the 22nd. The 27th, actually. It's the last weekend of the month. That's going to be coming out. So, yeah. So we're excited because Legacy of Dragonwan has been a huge hit. People love the story. And as you see, we have another fantastic cover that we produced on this one as well.
So where is it going to drop? Here on the website? Also on Amazon?
This will be Amazon again. Amazon and Barnes & Noble. People who are going to pick it up. Ebook, paperback. We'll probably start casting for the audio book very soon after its release.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
All right. How do I get out of it?
I think if you just click on the screen, click on it one time. The top right might be a button to get out, or probably a back button on the bottom. I don't know. Or maybe double click on it. I think
I'm stuck.
Double click.
There we go.
Yeah. So click on that Nexus one for me real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what other books do you want to highlight?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'll just see shiny things and click around.
I got this little guy right here, Nexus Ashram. As you see, 5x8. It's a manga novel.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Really, really excited. We kind of did a dual release on this one because this is the manga comic.
Okay. Yes.
So if you see, these stories run, they're not sequels. This book starts like old generation of novel and of the story for Nexus Astrum. 30 years after comes the comic. So as you can see, the mechs are really slow and clunky in here, kind of like the BattleTech kind of slow moving mechs. And in here, we kind of go Gundam, Yeah. So things have evolved over time. And so Chris McCauley, like I said, he's the author and the mind behind this. And the story is fantastic. He basically created his own little universe of science fiction. And we're excited. It comes out. It's already out. I'm bringing it to Heroes Con this weekend. I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I'll have copies of Nexus Astrum with us. And shout out to Leo Rodriguez and his team who did the art on this bad boy, because I think it came out really, really nice. It's got a nice manga feel to it with its own original kind of style of artistry. You can see those colorful pages on the inside. Really, really beautiful.
Neon Evangelion.
Yes.
Right?
You get that same kind of vibe. Yeah. And that's the back too. The back could have been a cover on its own.
Yeah. Look at that. Gosh. I love great art. I love seeing new stuff. It's like, I love all this stuff. Again, I think you and I grew up with the same kind of influence. So I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, I want this.
yeah.
Sign me up. So what else? What else can I show off? I love how it, like, at the bottom, it's like, did you see this?
Yeah,
Like,
I like
no.
that it does that. Click on go back up again to the store. And we can play around with some of my other releases too. I want to give shout outs to some of these great artists that I work with. You can go right to the books. Just click on
This
that.
one?
Yeah, that should do it. If you go down, I want to talk about the Cape.
The Cape. The Cape.
Keep going down. So you click. There we go.
These guys?
So click on that one.
This one? The
Book one.
Cape?
The one on the left. The one
This
on
one.
yeah, there we go.
This one or that one? This one?
Yep.
That one.
Yes. So
Yes.
the Cape is really is my baby. It's my superhero baby. I had 2 novels in the series, book 1 and book 2. And it's basically kind of a crazy Watchmen meets
What?
Lost. Thank you.
Mhm.
Meets what's a good The Running Man kind of a thing.
Oh my God.
Right. So this storm comes to the city of Chicago one day, and people who are caught in the storm, the next day they wake up with superpowers. Some use them for good, some for evil. They have these 2 factions. You got the Capes versus you have the superheroes versus the bad guys, which are called Dark Phase. And they kind of start slowly picking each other off one by one until finally the city says, hey, superheroes, we're going to call you guys the Capes. We'll adopt you, put you up in high rises, make you celebrities, as long as you kind of fight crime for us. And the one rule that you cannot break is you cannot harm a human. So in our universe of heroes, all of us, we call our superheroes super normals, because there's normals and there's super normals. And these super normals cannot harm a normal. And one day, the most powerful super normal of all, Thief, actually comes on TV and confesses to not only hurting a normal, but actually killing them. So book 1 becomes like a murder mystery, trying to figure out why he did it. This character named Paladin, who's one of the super normals, is like, nah, I don't think this is right. Something's going on. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And he's a new super normal. So everybody's trying to figure out who he is too. Now, everything is captured in a reality TV show called The Night Watch, where drones kind of follow the exploits of the heroes during the day, records all the video, and then puts it up for a reality show at night at 11 o'clock. So everybody kind of sees if you see a superhero saving a cat from a tree, or, somebody, an explosion, fire, whatever. So now they're starting to see this stuff unfold as this mystery is being unraveled, and now the ratings are through the roof. So it's just a really crazy, fun story. And of course, there's a little love story that goes on in there as well with Paladin and the girl, Cheetah Girl, who turns into Blur eventually. So we got the nice gradual characterization, the story development with that as well. So it was really, really fun. I wrote book 1. Book 2 was Overdrive, where basically there was this comet on a collision course with Earth that was made of nothing but precious jewels and diamonds and rubies and elements. And it is worth $1 quintillion. Do you know how much that is, Laurie?
It sounds like it would break my brain.
If you take the number 1 and you put 14 zeros behind it.
That's too many zeros.
Right.
Oh my God.
That's how much it's worth. So you imagine that all the countries on Earth would like to have a piece of that.
Of course.
And it would tip the scales of balance once you give like a third world country somebody that much resource.
Yeah.
So the United States basically commissions the Capes to, when it lands, to take it, put it in a shuttle, and then throw it into the sun. So that's kind of how that story goes.
So if we can't have it, nobody can.
Nobody should. Yeah. So this is actually issue 1 was the one you clicked on before. That was done by an artist named Bruno Abdias, and he is fabulous.
Yeah, I can tell, man.
Bruno is now working for DC, and I can't afford him anymore.
Oh gosh.
But he does their Cyborg series, so you can see the influence on the pages in here.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is gorgeous.
He taught me comic book writing without even knowing it, because I would give him pages of the script, and he would come back with all these variances of how the panels were. People were bleeding out of the panels and things like that, and I was going, wow, you can do that with a comic,
Mm-hmm.
So it taught me how to write better scripts. for my comics. So Bruno did that for me, and it was amazing. And then I ended up getting another artist who's amazing to do the sequel of issue 1 with issue 2, The Fabulous Five. And this was done by Marcelo Salazar. So,
oh my gosh, he does Psycho Sal.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Which I write for William Russell.
Oh, well, there you go. Small world.
So we are connected. Yes.
Yes, we are. And so Marcelo does a great job too.
Yeah, he does.
And that was the artist I had. I was like, man, I think Marcelo can actually do this justice so we don't have a drop off from Bruno's talent. And Marcelo did a great job. So this is kind of after the Capes have been through book 1, book 2, they've been through Hellfire, which is the comic. And after they've been through Infinity 7 books 1 and 2, kind of our Avengers Assemble, they are now passing the mantle down to these young bucks called the Fabulous Five. And the main character, Icon, who was on that cover, was a character who was actually initially started off as a bad guy who was killed in Infinity 7 book 1, who has now been resurrected and for a purpose. And he's actually the leader of the Fabulous Five. So yeah, so we just continue to move that storyline along.
So this one guy right here, gal, this wolf,
that beast in the background.
The beast, is it a werewolf or a bear?
He is a mix of both, and his name is Ghazi, and he is a very, very powerful deity.
He looks scary.
Yes.
I have a phobia of bears, and I write them into my story because I'm afraid of them. So we at Path of the Pale Rider love and hate. We have this love-hate relationship with bears. So I was like, who is this?
Yes. So Ghazi is very powerful, and so
he looks scary.
His story arc has continued into Cape 2, Fabulous Five as well.
He's in the second one too?
Yeah.
Now, I got to say something. Okay. This guy, this blue guy, looks very similar to someone that I saw in a different book of yours.
Which one?
In Broken.
Oh, which one is
that? The bounty hunter.
Oh, yeah. You got to go into the design. Yeah, the design is there. I like the color blue.
I was like,
I do have a couple of characters with the blue. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was like, so it's not the same, but she had the red hair too.
No.
Okay. Because I was like, man, if you did that to us, you're not right.
No. That would be cool, but I didn't do that. But I did. A lot of my stories do cross over, though, Laurie. Book 1 of the Cape actually has William, who is the Prince Bounty Hunter from Protostar. He actually does make an appearance in Cape 1.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
See, I love that. I didn't realize I could zoom in. I would have done that.
There's Ghazi. Yep.
Yeah. Don't be friends with that guy. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. So we do a little flashback. Yep. Little flashback of Ghazi.
Cool. Spider-Man.
I know you get the vibes, right?
Yeah, right in this panel down here. Okay. This character. Tell me about this character.
Oh, yeah. She is... I wanted to kind of go with a vibe of... she's Japanese American. So you can see the flag kind of on her outfit. Sure. And also the mask, the cat mask influence as well. And so she becomes like the friend of Avery, who's Icon. And he, like I said, he died in book 1. We bring him back in Infinity book 2, kind of an intro into the story. He doesn't end up fighting at all, but then he gets his own series spinoff here. So they're like really, really dear friends, but obviously she's starting to have like a little thing for him a little bit more. And of course he's like the dumb young guy who's like oblivious to the fact that she wants something more. So he like talks about girls in front of her, and they have this kind of relationship going on. And it isn't until, towards the end, he's starting to kind of go like, wait a minute, this is my girl,
So typical where we're like, hey, no, okay, you're gonna
exactly.
Right. I'm standing right here.
Right, exactly. So now we'll get the women are always onto it earlier than the guys.
Right. Yeah, this is gorgeous too.
Thank you. Yeah, he did a fantastic job in here. So it's a lot of comedy. It's kind of like a mashup, almost like a Guardians of the Galaxy
Nice.
X-Men kind of thing. So I had a lot of fun with the script on this one. So that big guy in the background is like this big rock creature, and his intelligence. He actually ages in reverse, but he actually gets
Oh.
stronger. So his IQ continues to decrease, but he gets more powerful.
Oh, no. No.
So he's the bull in the china shop all the time.
Dang it. Don't touch
But
anything.
he
Don't
is
say
tough.
anything.
You cannot beat him.
Just stand still until we tell you to go smash.
Absolutely.
So Braxton, you write novels, you write comics. What's your go-to method for format? Are you writing comic book style for comics or yeah, okay. I was going to say,
Well,
or are you writing novel and then converting it to?
I love that you asked that question, because to me, this has been such a journey in my writing that has just been so rewarding. I started off as a novelist and, pretty much wrote that. And then I got into script writing, and I was like a writer for hire. So I did like a pilot for somebody, also
Yeah.
wrote a short film for somebody else. And so I started getting intrigued. But in my writing, I learned the value and the importance of 3-act structure. So it became my my blueprint for writing any story. And I don't care what it was. If I'm writing a novella, it's going to be 3 acts in it. If I write a comic, it's going to be 3 acts in it. And I know that that's kind of difficult for people to do, but that's just my thing. And so when I got into comic book writing, I'm like, well, how do you write a comic? So I started off with a couple of books that I read on that. Also went back to Robert McKee has a book called Story. Story, just so amazing. But he talks about just story and how you have to develop story and all the beats that go with that. I also read Save the Cat too. So all of that stuff on screenwriting came around. But the book that I recommend to everybody who's going to write a comic script is The Art of Comic Book Writing. And it talks about what's on the pages, what's in the panels, what's the gutter. There's a change in time between those. So you continue to format how people's eyes move across pages, where you should be in the story. So I basically took all of that.
All of that. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's so important. So all of that, I cram it into a 3-act structure. Even if in 3-act structure, you get to the end of a comic and it's part of a series and you're going to go another way. How do we bring some closure to the hero's journey in that comic book? We still have to have that, even if it's subtle,
Yeah. And I think for my writing, that's one of the hardest things is the writing the ending of an arc. Because I have I want it to be impactful, but I also want it am I going to continue or am I ending?
Right.
How much information do you give them and still, still have that fan payoff, but still, if you're going to continue, don't give them everything and get that the wheels turning to ask for more. But I'm with you. I came from screenwriting as well. And so I write in 3 acts, but it's and I try to tell people it's so much more than that, because it's I'm writing the overall arc in 3 acts. So in each act 1, act 2, act 3 has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yep.
And then when I break down each into issues convert it into comic book, each issue has a beginning, middle, and end.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's being able to take a big picture and then break it down and break it down and break it down.
Yeah.
It's still
and
having.
You gotta keep digging.
Yeah. And every panel needs to be moving the story forward.
So absolutely. And that's why I said there's no throwaway panel. So that's the challenge. Because some people were like, oh, look at this beautiful splash page. And I'm like, but nothing happened.
Right. I hate fluff. God, you talked about Lost, and I was like, there's some really good things about Lost, but there's some really bad things about Lost. I don't know how many, same thing with Walking Dead, watching that TV show where it's remember how they used to break up the season into 2 halves?
Right.
It was half, first half and then the second half. And then the first episode and the mid-season finale were the 2 big ones. And then sometimes the 3 or 4 that were in the middle were just fluff.
Right.
And it's I don't need to see Carl run away again. I don't,
exactly.
I laughed because I thought it was funny when he was eating that giant can of pudding that's kind of iconic, but really, what was that?
Right. And again, there's the reward and payoff that you talk about.
Yeah.
It's if I introduce something I have to bring that back.
Right.
And I'm so tough on myself to be like, why'd you do that? I don't know. Well, take it out. You start having these conversations because I'm really, really a stickler for it, because I feel like the react structure exists for a reason. We
Yeah.
had it since the Odyssey, and it's tried and true. It's proven. And so if I do it the right way, then I know I've given a full experience to the reader, and they might not know it, but I've actually I tell people it's like a mind FUCK, because you didn't know why you liked it so much. But if you
Right.
have those beats where I start off on a really high level and I bring you to a low, then I'm slowly reeling you into the emotion of the story. You're getting connected more to the character. I tell people the best example of looking at characterization that I picked up on is something like The Mandalorian. When The Mandalorian is introduced, you just love Star Wars, so you're looking at it.
Right.
You just need Star Wars in your life. You don't really need a lot. So like the writers mess up when they do all this extra stuff with Star Wars. The world is created, it's already done. We love it, so we just love the world. Just give us the world,
Right.
If you're gonna do the characters, now you have to ground them to humanity at some point where I connect with them.
Right.
So we're literally looking at this show with a guy behind a mask the entire time. I have no connection with him other than he looks really cool.
Right. So
That
how do you do that? How do you know what I mean?
That story takes off the minute we introduce Grogu,
Yes.
because that's what he's connected to now. We actually say,
Yeah.
oh, this guy likes little kids. Well, if you're a parent, or if you got a brother or sister, or if you work in a school somewhere, if you're a police officer, whatever, any kind of role you take on as a protector, even if you have a dog,
Right.
you understand that thing. That's
Connection,
primal.
that type of relationship, right?
It's a primal relationship. I'm going to protect you because you cannot protect yourself.
There's another book I always recommend to people called Save the Cat.
Oh yeah, that's the one I read. I read that one.
Yeah, so you get it. So it's like it isn't so much the Mandalorian himself, it's the actions and what he does in relation to Grogu that tells us who he is. Because again, we can't see his face.
Right.
Like he hardly ever talks.
Right.
So it's his actions that build our belief system about him. And I'm a big believer in that as well. Like I did that. My whole first issue was that, like, I'm introducing my main character to you in a very limited setting, but you get to see him make decisions based off of his environment. And that's how you get to know who Jude St. Clair is. And I think more people should do that. No?
And again, that's why you like Kisa, right? Because she's taking care of her little brother. She would be gone if it was just her, but she knows that she is chained to this world.
Connection to reality. I think if it wasn't for him, she would have just gone off the deep end.
She certainly would have. Absolutely. She would welcome it. They have a big scene in the first book called The Reckoning, which is where you have to do something pivotal. And she has shied away from it because she feels like it's going to take her over the edge and she would lose that connection and the opportunity to stay there with Kieran. But she's getting closer to it. And then the big moment happens. That catalyst that moves her, the inciting incident that moves her into Act 2 to decide if I'm going to go ahead and go through with this and try to find out if there's this real resistance to what we're dealing with the establishment, and go on this journey.
I haven't figured out what type of writer you are yet, if you're going to really F with people's emotions and mess up Kieran, because Kisa is great, but I think what happens with Kieran will determine how the story moves forward.
Well, you saw how it ended in book 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he gets bit, or if he becomes a bad guy, or if he gets corrupted, or if he just flat out dies, Kisa is going to be a hot mess. And and if that happens, sir, I'm going to send you my hat. I got a hat for you. It says, hold please. It says, I drink the tears of my readers. So you can be part of my club.
All right. But yeah, you definitely have to push the buttons of the character.
Oh no,
you definitely
You're
have to. So we'll see. I'm, like I said, the historical fiction story I'm writing right now. I just keep going back into it, and I keep going, man. Okay, the hero's journey. And I had this scene where we were kind of moving along. Like, I always believe, like, the hero's journey in essence is, I want something, I need to do something, and there's an antagonist or there's something that's opposing me from doing it.
Right.
I have to fail in the beginning, and then I have to learn how to get better so that when I see that antagonist again at the end, I can overcome them. If you do that, then the journey is worth it, right? Because I don't want Luke Skywalker, if he just fought Vader in the beginning and beat him, what was the point? The journey is for him to learn,
who cares?
to understand, and then finally to say, oh, when he fights Vader and he beats him at the end, you go, yeah, I get that, because Luke is a badass now. How did he become a badass? We've got to look at all those pieces, So if you do that,
he put in the work.
Yes, absolutely. The work has to be there, and then it's a valid payoff. Like, yeah, because you have an expectation. Like, it's if I've done my job as a writer and I've created these characters that feel very 360 degrees and they're full and they're round. It was like I tell people, when you look at like Avengers 1, where at the end where Captain America's talking to everybody, you do this and you go on here and you go here and he looks at the Hulk. Everybody knows what the Hulk is.
Right.
So he's like, what's he going to tell the Hulk? And he goes, Hulk. And he goes, smash. That's all we need to know.
That's it. That's all you need to say.
There is no direction because we all know who the Hulk is.
Right.
And it makes total sense. Yeah, go smash. So that's what I'm always trying to do. I'm trying to figure out, okay, when I get in these scenes, people can have an expectation of how so-and-so is going to act, what they're going to do, because I built them up to be that person, Mm-hmm. And that way it's genuine.
The lazy option is the montage.
I know.
I mean, if you need them to level up all in one issue, just montage it, right? But I think that really only works for like TV, like visual, like TV, not even just visual, like live animation, or you know what I mean? I don't think that works in a comic, because to me that's fluff again. Like, I'm not gonna read a page of him doing push-ups.
Right. I did it in Broken 1, issue 1, but Akisa's waking up from a dream. She's waking up from a dream, so she's having flashbacks.
I think I'm breaking up. I don't know if it's me breaking up or you breaking up. Who's breaking up here?
Are you good now? You did for a second.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
I was like, I keep hearing bits and pieces of what you're saying, so I don't know if it's my internet.
I did it in issue 1 of Broken, right in the beginning. But again, that was me flashing forward to try to bring everybody up to speed on the story if you hadn't read the novel. So we have a little flash scene of her dream sequence where it's like all these big events happen and she wakes up from the dream, So that was how I did it there, but it wasn't a montage per se.
Who is lagging? I can't tell if it's me. Is it me?
I think you're fine now.
I don't know what's going on. The internet it's crumb. The internet just decided that I've talked enough for today and it just wants to boot me. What the heck? Sorry, Braxton.
No problem.
It's me. Okay. I think I'm back.
You look like you're back now.
Hopefully.
No.
It's still laggy, but please continue saying what you were saying. I apologize.
No problem.
Internet.
No problem. So yeah, I think it's just it's how you want to tell the story, but just do it effectively. I tell people all the time. I have done some panels. You were asking earlier, what did I like to do most? I would say that honestly, comic book writing is my favorite, but it's why I very slight. Really, because it's so challenging. I beat myself up on my scripts. Oh my God. And I'm just like, I guess it's just the athlete in me, train back in the day and then have a great result when you finally run your race, So to me, it's like, how do I, even with Save the Cat, how do I get a midpoint in the middle of my comic book?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it significant? Because for me, my midpoints are, if somebody comes and picks up a comic on my table, they're like, oh, this looks cool. Comics open up to the middle by themselves.
Yes.
It better be kick-ass when they pick it up.
Right.
So that's my
100%.
goal.
Like that's where it's opening. That's where they're going to open it
That's
too.
my
Right.
goal. So I have to now kind of go 24-page comic.
Right.
Page 12 is my midpoint.
Right.
What's the big scene on these two
Right. I do
pages
that
too?
too. I do that
Yes.
too. So I'm the same. So I'll take my issue, which is screenplay format.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like, okay, I got 24 pages. This is the last page. This is
Right.
the first page, and this is the excitement, the midpoint. And I'll put it
Mm-hmm.
on 12 or 13 because that's where
Mm-hmm.
it's open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll plug in what belongs in before and after. But
Yep.
I'm with you. Like, I think that comic book format is fun, but it's also challenging because you only
Yes.
get 24 pages
Yeah. Yeah.
to describe, and you have to have the dialogue fit, so you can't be overly verbose,
Exactly.
but you have to have that action as well. Like the art needs to show what you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So you don't have to tell people with exposition. You could tell
Right.
them visually
Absolutely.
the things that are going on as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, which was also probably weird when I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So
So
it became my favorite thing to do. Like when I sit down with a comic strip, I'm like, okay, here we are. Let's do it. And the challenges of getting all those beats, Act 1, Act 2, 24 pages,
yeah,
you're probably gonna go Act 1 is gonna go maybe page 7. Then you go from like 8 to 19, and maybe the last 5 are your Act 3. So it's like all these little, okay, here's my rules, and then I've got to figure out how many panels on each page. And I've
right.
had some scripts from authors who like, I look at their script, I'm like, you put 4 panels on this page like 4 times. I'm like, you're letting the artist off the hook, 4
Yeah.
panels? No, make them work. 5 to 7. Let's
5,
do it.
5, 6, I think 9 is probably too, it
I
would
don't think
need
I've
an
ever written
excuse to do
9.
9. Right? I was like, don't have every page have 9, okay?
Yeah. I've
Um,
never done that. I'm usually between 5 and 7. And if I do
yeah,
a splash page, it's just because I'm like, right here, I just want to really convey something.
let it breathe.
Something, yes. And
Yeah.
it's that people go, wow, and it's usually when you have that moment where somebody's about to open the door and it's the last panel on the page. And when they turn the page, then
Yes.
bam, something explodes. And you've seen that in one of my broken
Yes.
comics. So yeah, so
Yes.
it's that kind of a thing.
Very nice. Yeah, it's funny because you and I are both excited talking about that. But that's just kind of a glimpse inside the mind of us as writers, where we're like, this is
Absolutely.
some of the things that really excites us is
Yeah.
is putting in the work to the pacing of the
Right.
issue so that it's exciting to
Yeah.
read.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can just throw 9 panels on a page and have it be in a grid every
I know.
and
Right.
that's been
Right.
done too.
Yeah.
So
It has. Yep.
so it just depends on, I don't know, thinking outside the box, trying to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was gonna ask you something before my whole computer melted down. Like, now I lost my train of
Yeah.
thought. I was
I
gonna
think
ask
the
you
Act
about
3 keeps me
process.
honest. What do you think? It keeps me
Yeah.
honest, so I don't go off the rails. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, and we were talking about this last week, the writing process
Mm-hmm.
between the rough draft and the second draft. It's like, how
Mm-hmm.
much do you cut out?
Right.
And
Right.
then to me, I'm with you. Like that third act is really the hardest part for me because I want it to have such an emotional hit. It needs to have that payoff. It really
Mm-hmm.
makes you, it has to sock you in the feels.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really picky about that third act. And so I'm with you. It's like it keeps me honest about my writing capabilities, but
Right.
I tweak the crap out of that. Like
Right.
when I got to, so my first arc is 12 issues.
Okay.
And when I got to issue 12, I rewrote that sucker again and again and again and again and again and again because I was like, it's just not hitting right.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know. It just takes time, I think, for it
It
to
is.
either that or sometimes you have to, a lot of times I have to just walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me ask you this. When are you hit with inspiration? Is it one of those like you're not paying attention? Are you watching something? Are you sleeping? Like, when is it that inspiration is like, here's my next thing?
Um, I gotta be honest. I'm always inspired by story.
Yeah.
I get excited, man. When somebody says, "Oh, I saw this," you got to go look at this. You got to read this. I go and I do it because I want to see the story, and it takes me a little bit. And I'm like, after the first, if it's a TV show, first 10 minutes doesn't get me. I'm not intrigued with the story. I need to see it.
I'm
I need
out.
to see a setup. I need to see the
Yeah.
setup. Oh,
Yeah.
I see where they're going with this, and then I'll stay. If you're taking
Right.
a long time to get there, I know the writing is not good. It's not abrupt because there's some rules to this thing, And
Mhm.
so I had this a guy who was telling me, like, the way he got through his life with a lot of the challenges he had with his father and things like that. It made him sad. He said, but the way he dealt with his sadness is that he was always sad. So for me
Interesting.
to be inspired, I'm always inspired. I want to hear your story. When people come to my
You're
table,
Hulk,
tell me
you're
about your
always
story.
angry. That's your
Tell me about your
secret.
story. And I'm always in it. And then that way I'm always angry. That was exactly what it was
Yeah.
for me. And so I'm always inspired with stories. Sometimes when I sit down and write, I'll put an audio book in the background, just kind of listen to get some ideas on how the
Really?
flow of the story is. Absolutely. My favorite authors, I'll just listen to their audiobooks in the background, just real subtle, just so I can hear some different ways of how you have a dialogue or how you do exposition and things like
Interesting.
that. Or I'll go look at some of my favorite comics. Let me see what they're doing. Oh, this is gorgeous.
Yes.
Okay, I could do something like that.
I do that when I'm stuck, and then now and
Yeah.
I letter our comic, I letter
Okay.
the path, and so,
Hmm.
like, when it comes to SFX, the sound
Hmm.
effects, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it sound like, glorp, would you mean, like, is that a thing? Like, should I put splurt
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
what? Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing here? And so I'll
Yeah.
just, like, that's when I'm like, I'm looking at what are people doing
Absolutely.
SFX wise,
You have
like
to. You have to. There's industry standards out there, and you follow what the industry standard folks do. And then, like, I was writing today some scenes. I did 5 pages last night of the one comic that I'm doing, which is
mhm.
a continuation of my Steel Rain series. Then today I woke up and I did 5 pages of the new thing I'm doing for the graphic novel. And I was like, they're running through the forest. What does that sound like?
Yeah.
How do you put that?
Like, how do you spell that? Like, how do you communicate?
Yeah.
Right?
So I sometimes I rely a lot on my folks. Some of the folks I work with are just so good. They'll put some stuff in there. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's what that sounds like. Good job. So
Yeah. Braxton, do you ever look at a word and you're like, the more you look at it, it doesn't make sense?
oh,
Like,
absolutely.
it happens to me all the time when I'm doing SFX and I'm like, is this like the word cake is such an insane word.
Yeah, yeah,
Cake. And then like the more you look at it, you're like, this word is just nuts. I don't know. It's just it happens. So I feel
yeah,
that way with SFX too when I'm really trying to nail it and I'm like, I gotta walk away because I'm starting to see like
yeah.
weird things.
Yeah. You
Oh.
need to look at other things. I tell people all the time,
Mhm.
you can't write unless you read. You know what I
Right.
mean? And you can't direct unless you look at film. Because
Correct.
when you're in a comic book, you are everybody. You're the
Yes.
writer, you're the director, you're the director of photography, you're the editor, you're everybody, which is why it's so exciting to do comics.
Yes.
And then when you get the pages back from the artist and like, here's my pencil. Okay, we formulated that the right way. Cool. Here's my inks. Oh man, it's getting there. And when you
Yeah.
see those colors, it's like, yes,
It
we are
comes
here.
to life.
It's
I'm with
amazing.
you. That's one of the most exciting times for me is when I get it just the pencils from Gilbert because he's putting on paper what's in my head.
Hmm.
And, sometimes they put their own little spin on things and they make it better. Which is a cool, like, process where we work together to make our story the best version of
Right,
itself. But
right.
there's nothing the biggest joy in my life right now is seeing pages come in from Gilbert and seeing maybe a new character that we're introducing this issue.
Yep,
Like that's
yep.
her. Like that's
That's
Lola.
the
Like
jam right there, for
that's
sure.
it. So that's so exciting. And I'm with you. A lot of times I'll put like camera angles. I'm like, this is a wide shot or this is a close up. This
Hmm.
is a 3/4 shot. And in the beginning, Gilbert and I had to have that conversation about what is a camera angle because I was using screenplay, conversation. And he was
Right,
like, I don't know what that is. I
right,
was like,
right, right.
give you a reference. I'm like, this is the kind of shot that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can take a
no.
screenshot of something and say, "Here, it looks like this." And a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, especially with science fiction, there's floating
Yeah.
screens, monitors, there's 3D images. Somebody's like playing with something. It's like I have to take a picture of that and I have to send it to them. Say, this is kind of how this comes across. You know what I mean?
You ever draw stuff for your artists and they laugh at you?
Absolutely. I
I've
sketch
drawn
it
stuff
out.
for Marcello in Psycho Sal and he just giggles. And I was like,
Yeah,
sir, I'm paying you for a reason. Like,
that's right.
stop laughing at me.
That's right. Yeah, I do it all the time. I make the ugliest little reference,
Yeah.
but you know what it is. You'll know where we
Right.
are with this page.
Right. But it's just trying to communicate visually with someone who thinks
Yeah.
visually, right?
Hmm.
And Gilbert's like, you should put this in the bonus material for our next trade. I was like, nobody wants to see No, nobody wants to see that, sir. I was
Right,
like,
right.
he's like, "Oh, we're doing it." I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, Marcelo did a good job in he did this one
Kate?
page for me, and I knew they were inside of a spaceship, and I didn't put a lot of detail what the spaceship interior looked like. And he ended up having like all these hanging tubes and
Yeah.
panels in the back. I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. Good job. That kind of surprised me.
That's cool. I like when they put their own touch on it. And
Hmm.
sometimes, yeah, we're lost. It's like we don't see the forest for the trees. We're like,
Right,
it's a spaceship, fill in the blank,
right, 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 right.
because I'm more interested in what my character is doing
Hmm.
sometimes, unless it's something very plot specific
Right,
where I'll get into detail, be like, it's the West, figure it out. Like,
right, right.
put a
Your
cactus there.
you referenced something earlier when you pulled up the Fabulous Five, and you said that, oh, looks like the Spider-Man. Remember that last panel?
Yeah.
Well, the big panel was the big page that everything was superimposed on top of the smaller panels, where he's like carrying her in the air, and like so many people love that
God.
page. They're like the streets below, they were like
Yeah.
intersecting, like just how he decided he was going to make those decisions of what the city looked like behind Icon was amazing.
And Lou, it doesn't happen enough because we non-art people feel self-conscious sending art stuff to art people, Lou.
Right, right.
It's something that we don't make a habit
Yeah,
of doing
and
unless
and I
we
think
have
for
to
me,
do
like
it.
I tell people all the time, compared to the artists I work with, and I feel like I'm a decent artist, but compared to the ones I work with, I'm a 5 and they're a 10. So
Right.
I just need to get the idea to them with my 5 and let
Right.
them
And I'm
do their
not
own
trying to
magic with
like
it.
draw anything epic in this conversation. I'm like, just move the person over
Right.
here. And then I draw their, like stick figure with some hair on it. And Gilbert just
Exactly.
cracks up. Shut up.
Yeah. It's
It's like,
but
just move them
but
over here.
like you say, you're birthing a character, and that's
Yeah.
just amazing to do that.
So, okay. So Broken you're continuing that story in 2 different formats. What
Mhm.
else are you working on soon? Like, do you have a plan? Do you have plan for the rest of the year? Yes.
Yeah. So the rest of the year, well, I've got to be honest. So this year is the year of obviously Broken, because I didn't get to convention the first half of the year because I was coaching track and field for my daughter's high school.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of getting the ball rolling. So this is the year of this Fabulous Five with the Cape
Mhm.
series. I got to make sure that gets in the hands of the people who wanted that. So we'll really be pushing that heavily. Also, I have with me at the conventions the Nexus Astrum manga series with the book and the novel. I mean, the novel and the comic, and then of course the Broken books. Book 3, the graphic novel, just honestly came out in the beginning of the year, so we'll have all 3 of those there. And so I'm being patient with the process of the one artist is working on the sequel to Still Rain for me right now. She's doing amazing. That's a new
Yeah.
gal I'm working with. And then the other artist who I'm working with, who actually did work on ANVK for Kaio Champion. Her name is Eliza. She did an amazing job because ANVK is African Ninja Vampire Killer. So,
Which sounds badass, by
oh,
the way.
let me tell you something. That is one of my favorite comics that I didn't write. You know what I mean? Kaio does a great job with his story. Let me see do I have a copy of that one here? Let me see.
It's sold out on your website too. I was just looking at it.
Yeah, well, actually, we got some more in, so I need to update that. I gotta
Okay.
get to the webmaster. But wow, I thought I brought it down here. Anyway, that one is
I
it
was
is
like,
down here. Where is it? Oh,
please.
here it is. Yeah, there you go. You got the cover up.
Yeah.
But imagine vampires in Africa, and these young boys. They've been basically trying to terrorize their village, and these young boys who are all into tech, like they're like STEM kids, They come
Yeah.
up with their own weapons, especially after one of the boys' mom is killed by one of the vampires, and they all take karate too. So they kind of put into practice everything they have into their technology and come up with their own special weapons like that. So they're actually on a mission to hunt these vampires down. And it's kind of these vampires are almost like the ones from like the True Blood series. They're like
Okay.
very smart. They've got this infrastructure with money and all this stuff. So man, it's just a fantastic story. I can't wait till Kaio works on this second copy. But we'll have AMVK with us as well. And so Eliza's art style matched perfectly with the new story that I'm doing now, which is based in 15th century feudal Japan.
Oh,
So
wow.
I basically had to pull her over for that, and so her pages are
Yes.
coming out pretty cool right now.
Gosh. So, Braxton, when you go to Comic Cons, you just
Mhm.
have like just racks of books on your table? Like, I mean, you take all of these books with you when you go to cons?
I do have to be careful. So I've learned how over the years I kind of go, what was the vibe at that convention? Well, people really seem
Yeah.
to be kind of going for this and that. So basically, I have like 2 stands, and I have little signs. One will say like science fiction, and I'll have Still Rain, books 1 and 2. Then I'll have manga, and it'll have like ANVK. It'll have uh, Nexus Astrum. Then I'll have superhero, and then I'll have my stuff, really just the cape with the novels and the comics. And then I'll have young adult dystopian, and I'll have broken. So basically on those racks,
Okay.
it'll just draw your eye to those things. And then I got all the books under the table, so try to make it easy as possible. This year I am kind of pulling that old series out, Protostar, the Starcross Saga books 1, 2, and 3. I'm bringing those with me because that's where I introduced Steel Rain. And I promise you, whenever I bring those books out, it may be old to me, but it's new to everybody else, and they fly. Like, people just love
Cool.
those novels, so they pick them up and then they go, "Oh, it's connected with Steel Rain," and I give them a good price for everything, and they're happy, happy, happy.
Nice. So, I mean, do you go by yourself to cons, or
Oh,
does
my
your wife?
wife comes with me. I
Okay, I
drag
was
her.
gonna say, and at least she's involved.
Yes, she does. Well, she does the money part. So she's always the money person.
That's
I
smart.
do the signing. She does the money. So she says, "Okay, well, I can give you a deal on this," and she's hard nosed. So she's a lot meaner than me. So I'll just give people
That's
stuff for
funny.
free, and she's like, "No, we're not doing that." So
That's
she
hilarious.
stays on the business part of it.
But you do all the pitching, you do all the
Yes,
sales, and then she takes the funds. That's
that's
smart.
right.
Because my husband's coming with me for the very first time in September to a
Okay,
Comic-Con. I usually go by myself.
where are you going?
We're gonna go to Mockingbird Lane in Seguin, which is close to San Antonio.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Texas is huge, so people are like, "Oh, it's in Texas." I'm like, "That is a 5-hour drive
Oh,
for me
absolutely,
to go
absolutely.
there."
Yeah.
So, I've been sticking mostly to like Dallas, Fort Worth area. I've
Mhm.
been going to Oklahoma a couple of times. The group that I go with that plans these cons they started going into Oklahoma, and they're fabulous. So I went to Texoma, and I'm
Okay.
going to Red River Comic Con in Ardmore, Oklahoma. And those are like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
So they're still
yeah,
not that far from
yeah,
me in North
absolutely.
Texas. So this Mockingbird Lane going down to San Antonio, which is huge comic book culture, will be the farthest that I've gone so far.
Mhm.
So my husband's going to come with me. Um, so I'm like, what job do I give him?
Give him that job. Well, he's gonna be the packager. He's
Ah,
gonna be move the books out. Hey, I need a copy of that, and that's what you got to do, because you got to pitch it. You got to pitch it.
yeah. I was
That's
like,
your thing.
because I mean, that's hard. I'd be like, he can't pitch the book. He hasn't done it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think he could match my level of enthusiasm, because again, he's not a writer, and he's not editing my books. So it's like, what job can I give him that he would be comfortable with too? So
Taking the money. That's all
yeah,
we're
I
saying.
bet he could probably do that. I'll teach him how to use my point of sale.
Yep. Yep.
Because that's unfortunately what limits me, I think, at my table is I can only help one person at a time when
I
I'm by
know.
myself.
I
Because I
hate
gotta pitch, I gotta communicate, I gotta build that relationship, and then I gotta close the sale, and then I gotta process the funds, and then, on to the next person. So if I can only help one person at a time, it's slowing me down.
And then sometimes you see people like they're standing there like looking in the
Yeah.
kitchen, and then
Yeah.
it's taking too long, and like they're
Yep.
starting to walk away. I'm like, leave.
Yeah, I was like,
I
I
don't
will
want
be
to be
right with
rude.
you.
I don't want to
You
be rude
know,
who I'm talking to, so I want to kind of move them along. Say, okay, my wife's gonna take you over here. Hey, can I help you with
smart.
something? That kind of a thing. You want to just keep going.
I have the Big James is the bear in my comic series, by the way,
Mm-hmm,
Braxton.
mm-hmm.
And I do have a Big James suit, one of those
There
blow
you go.
up
There you go.
inflatable suits.
He's
So
got to get it.
I think he'll probably go home if I make like, he'll leave me there. He'd be like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't doing it. I'll pitch this to him and see if he'll dress up as Big James, but
I
I
mean,
don't
you
think
got a shot. That's all I can tell you.
he's not as extroverted as I am, so he'll be like, no.
Mm, yeah.
but that's an idea. Or Dwayne. I don't think he would do Dwayne either.
Dwayne is another character.
Dwayne is the town drunk who has the belief that he knows how the apocalypse started in my book.
Okay.
But he's the town drunk, so you don't know whether you can believe him or not.
Well,
he stands
at this point, what do you have to lose?
True. I love Dwayne. He's my hillbilly friend. He just likes to say ridiculous stuff. Stumble around saying, "What's this?" He could stumble around saying, "I have the answers." No, that's Pops Van Zant would make the perfect Dwayne Fink, 100%. Wait, I have to show you, Braxton. So we do these things called Deep Thoughts by Dwayne Fink.
Okay.
Did you ever watch The Boys?
Yeah.
Watch The Boys? Yeah, okay.
I watch it, yeah.
You know how they had like Deep Thoughts by the Deep? And they had just these little
yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Deep Thoughts by Dwayne Fink.
If everyone is undead, is it still called a living room?
This has been Deep Thoughts by Dwayne Fink.
I like that.
So I have a bunch of just Dwayne-isms.
Very cool.
Which are really funny, but my husband doesn't necessarily fit that part, so we'll find.
Yeah.
Pops Van Zant could do it for sure. So, all right, my friend, it is that point of the show where you get to tell everybody where to follow you. Okay. Where should they go? What do you want them to purchase off of your website?
Everything.
All that good
Just
stuff.
Everything. It's not a lot.
Put one of each in the cart, please.
If you go to the site, I promise you that you'll find something that if you're a reader. If you're not a reader, then there's nothing here for you.
Go buy candles.
Yeah, go buy candles, and the candles are great too. But if you're a reader, you're gonna find something that you like. Like I said, we have poetry, we have inspirational, we have science fiction, we have fantasy, we have high fantasy, low fantasy, all that good stuff. We've got bounty hunters, we've got dystopian fiction, we've got zombies, the whole 9 yards. Go to cosbymediaproductions.com/store. If you want to go right to the store, you can actually hit the tabs to navigate around. As you see on the right-hand side, we have all our social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, formerly was X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, you can do that as well. I'm on Instagram at Braxton A. Cosby, and also on Facebook. And if you want to go to Cosby Media Productions on Instagram and Facebook, and then Starchild_comics on Instagram. But yeah, anything you buy, we'll ship it out to you. I'll sign it. You'll get a copy, and you'll be in our world. Like our thing is with Star Child Comics, we kind of say, come play in our worlds, because we have a lot of worlds. We have superhero universe, we have dystopian universe, we have science fiction, we have fantasy now with Legacy of the Dragon One. If you guys are into high fantasy, we've got it all right there. And I think that, I feel proud in knowing that we have some stuff that we think we can offer some real readers and people who just love good stories, because we're sticklers for them. And hopefully it's your next favorite story that you pick up.
Oh, I love that. I say that all the time. I really hope people find their next favorite thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially with independent, and small press, because we are not reboot, recycle, rehash, read garbage.
Yes, right.
Find your new favorite thing, because it's out there. So beautiful. Thank you again for coming. This was a pleasure. You are always welcome back on the show.
Yay.
I want to mention everybody that if you want to be on the Tuesday Morning Brew, I can send you the link to the Calendly. We are currently booked through the end of December 2025. So if you want to come on the show, you got to pick some dates in 2026, because we ain't stopping. I'll be here.
Hey.
But plan ahead. Don't come to me like, hey, my Kickstarter launch is on Friday. I ain't got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but join us again next week. I'll be back from my trip from Michigan, and we're going to be talking more comics. I think Tom Hutchinson will be back with Penny for Your Soul. So we're going to have a good time. I'm going to harass him more about dressing up like Ed Wood. I'm still trying to get him to do it. He hasn't done it yet. Let's play a few commercials for the people that help support this, the Meg. We want to make sure that we can continue doing cool stuff. So join us in supporting our sponsors. Here we go.
In the heart of a major city, in a place raised to honor Earth's past protectors, the world will again learn, sometimes, superpowered intrigue doesn't stop at the grave. Galaxy Memorial Park, Volume 1, beginning crowdfunding Memorial Day 2025.
Thank you.